full tone. When you see me in these streets, bust a shout out.
Every little thing I do, you're on my mind, you're on my mind.
All of my life, I've been searching for the same. Why can't be red? Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. If you want it, you can have it, baby. Yeah.
The 90s, an unforgettable era when R&B was king and every song felt like a vibe. Among the legends that dominated the airwaves were a group of talented brothers who introduced themselves with, "Yo, what's up? I'm Brad, I'm Chuck, I'm KD, and I'm Jason. We're Soul for Real. Ring any bells?" Of course they do. These brothers didn't just drop songs, they dropped anthems. They had everyone grooving to their signature hits, Candy Rain in 1994 and Every Little Thing I Do in 1995. Tracks that didn't just climb the Billboard charts, they owned them. Let's dive into their story, shall we? Soul for Real wasn't just another R&B group. They were a movement often hailed as the 90s version of the Jackson 5. With their harmonious vocals, undeniable stage presence, and knack for writing, producing, and performing, these four brothers were poised to take the industry by storm. And with Heavy D as their mentor, it seemed like the sky was the limit. Their debut album was a smash, cementing their place in the R&B landscape. But just as quickly as their star rose, it came crashing down. What happened? Well, this story isn't all candy and rain. Behind the scenes, there were creative differences, legal troubles, and whispers of them being blackballed from the industry. It was like pulling teeth trying to reach out to them. It's called being blackballed. Stay tuned, because the truth behind Soul for Real's journey is as captivating as their music. Go ahead and like and subscribe, because we're diving in right now. Raised in a devout West Indian household with a bishop for a father and a reverend for a mother, the brothers' musical foundation was laid in the church. Their harmonious voices first graced congregations, not concert stages. After bouncing between Florida and New York, the family finally settled back in New York. There, the brothers decided to take a different route, hitting the streets to make ends meet. But let's keep it real. Selling substances was never their dream. With their collective talent for singing, they knew they had a shot at something bigger. So they formed a group and began performing locally, hoping their voices would pave the way to a better life. Now, the story of how they were discovered has evolved over the years. For a long time, the brothers credited a talent show for their big break. But when they sat down with the Breakfast Club, they revealed a slightly different version. According to Brian, they would sing outside various record labels, trying to catch the attention of anyone who would listen. That persistence finally paid off when a woman named Robin overheard their soulful harmonies in the lobby of a building. She believed in their potential and told them they'd be perfect for the Mount Vernon Day talent show. She gave them an address and encouraged them to perform for her boyfriend and the others at the location. And just like that, fate was beginning to work its magic. The address Robin gave them was 80 Bateman Place in Mount Vernon. When the brothers arrived, they were greeted by a man named Floyd. Now, for those of you who've been following our videos, that name might ring a bell. If not, stay tuned. Inside the house, the brothers couldn't help but notice the walls adorned with gold and platinum plaques. But at the time, they still had no idea whose home they were standing in. Eager to make an impression, they performed some of their original songs for Floyd. He was impressed and told them, "I'm going to bring you down to meet my brother." The group followed him downstairs, and sitting in the room was none other than Heavy D, the vice president of Uptown Records and a hip-hop legend in his own right. They performed for Heavy, who saw their potential and wasted no time introducing them to Andre Harrell, the founder of Uptown Records. Now, let's talk about their group name. The brothers initially called themselves Da Fez. Yep, you heard that right. Even they admitted it wasn't the greatest name, and Heavy quickly advised them to rethink it. "You guys gotta get rid of that," Heavy reportedly told them, and they agreed it had to go. The brothers were green when it came to the music business. They knew how to sing, but contracts, legalities, and the industry's inner workings, not so much. Floyd became their manager, and Heavy's lawyer took on their legal representation. Sounds convenient, right? Wrong. This setup was a massive conflict of interest, but the brothers didn't realize it at the time. Trusting the professionals around them, they signed the paperwork, officially joining Uptown Records' artist roster. Little did they know, this decision would set the stage for both their meteoric rise and the the struggles that followed. Although each of the brothers had the talent to carry the group as a lead singer, Heavy D chose the youngest Jace to take center stage on most of their tracks. It wasn't a slight to the others, it was a calculated move to spotlight Jace's youthful energy and charisma. Behind the scenes, Chalk came up with the concept for what would become their biggest hit, Candy Rain. However, things got complicated from there. Jace revealed in an interview with You Know I Got Soul that Heavy and his team stepped in and wrote a song around the idea that Chalk had initially presented. But here's the kicker. Heavy's team allegedly took all of the publishing rights, leaving Chalk out of the writing credits entirely. It's a harsh reality in the music industry, where creative contributions don't always translate to recognition or royalties. Despite the drama, Candy Rain was a smash. Released in November 1994, the song's polished harmonies and sophisticated production quickly made waves. It soared to the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart, cementing the brothers as a force to be reckoned with. Their debut album, also titled Candy Rain, dropped in March 1995, co-produced and largely written by Heavy D himself. The album's success was undeniable. Within months, it was certified platinum, marking So For Real's official arrival on the music scene. But with success came more challenges, and the brothers soon learned that hitting the charts was only the beginning of their journey. Just 1 month after Candy Rain hit stores, the brothers dropped their second single, Every Little Thing I Do. This time, Chalk took the lead vocals, giving the group a fresh dynamic. Riding high off their debut success, they also began working on a remix of Candy Rain, featuring Heavy D. But behind the scenes, things weren't as harmonious as their music. According to the brothers' interview with The Breakfast Club, Heavy wanted Jace to take the lead on the remix. After all, he had fronted the original and was seen as the group's standout voice. However, Chalk felt he deserved the spotlight on this version, which led to tension. The disagreement escalated to the point where Chalk and Heavy clashed, and the fallout was immediate. Heavy allegedly pulled the plug on the group, labeling them too difficult to work with. The consequences were swift and brutal. All of their promotion came to a halt, leaving Every Little Thing I Do to fend for itself with no backing from the label. Despite the lack of marketing, the song still managed to go gold, a testament to the group's undeniable talent and the momentum of their first hit. But the damage was done. The brothers revealed that after their debut album, they couldn't even get a call back from Heavy, Floyd, or anyone from their camp. In their words, it felt like they'd been completely iced out. Automated voicemail voice, number and the time you called, and we'll get back to you later. Thank you. The sudden silence left them reeling, marking a turning point in their careers. It was clear the honeymoon phase was over, and they were now navigating an industry that often prioritizes politics over talent. By the mid-90s, things weren't just unraveling for Soul For Real. The cracks were showing at Uptown Records as well. Andre Harrell, the label's founder, left to become the CEO of Motown, and with him went much of Uptown's momentum. The brothers revealed that they couldn't follow Andre to his new label because Heavy D still had first dibs on them. So, they stayed put at Uptown, where Heavy became the head of the label in 1996. Despite the turmoil, the group pressed on, fulfilling their 2-album contract. They hit the studio to work on their sophomore project, this time collaborating with Sean Diddy Combs, who had once been an Uptown employee before starting Bad Boy Records. The brothers also had more creative input this time, getting the chance to write some of their own songs, a long overdue opportunity to showcase their full talents. When their second album, For Life, dropped in September 1996, it sadly didn't make much noise. The buzz from Candy Rain had fizzled out, and the album barely registered on the charts. To make matters worse, their relationship with Heavy was still in shambles. Communication was practically non-existent, leaving the group adrift without guidance or support from the very people who were supposed to have their backs. Heavy eventually resigned from Uptown in 1997, but by that point, the damage was done. Soul For Real found themselves dropped from the label, with no deals, no support, and no ownership of their publishing or masters. The brothers were forced to face a harsh reality. They had been played. They finally realized how detrimental it was to have Floyd as their manager and to rely on Heavy's lawyers for their contracts. The conflict of interest left them vulnerable and empty-handed, with nothing to show for the years of hard work and the platinum records they once celebrated. Reflecting on their time in the industry, the brothers agree that their fallout with Heavy D marked the beginning beginning of their decline. You know we were blackballed after we bumped heads with Hey V. Then it's like, yo, he's the big dog, and nobody in is. The weight of their soured relationship with their mentor loomed over their career, and it became clear that opportunities dried up once they were no longer in Heavy's favor. In an attempt to revive their careers, the brothers released an independent album titled Heat. Unfortunately, the project failed to chart and didn't reignite the spark they once had. Despite the tension, they told The Breakfast Club that they still tried reaching out to Heavy and Floyd over the years, hoping to reconcile and possibly rebuild their working relationship. However, Chalk hinted that Heavy showed little interest in reconnecting, leaving their ties permanently severed. By this time, the brothers had settled in Atlanta, focusing on making a living away from the limelight. But for Brian, the hustle took a darker turn. Struggling to provide, he got involved in a mortgage fraud scheme that affected 115 victims. The scandal spiraled into headlines, with some news outlets mistakenly reporting that 3 of the brothers were implicated. However, Brian was the only one involved in the scheme. The situation worsened in February 2009, when WSB TV Atlanta reported that Brian was on the run with his 10-month-old baby boy. The story captured public attention, and after a period on the run, he was apprehended by authorities. Brian was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to 5 years in prison, marking a tragic chapter in the group's post-fame struggles. On November 8, 2011, the music world was shaken when Heavy D was found unresponsive on a walkway outside his Beverly Hills condo. He was rushed to the hospital, but tragically, he passed away at the age of 44 due to a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot in his lungs. Heavy's sudden death left many mourning the loss of a hip-hop legend, but for Chalk, the emotions were more complicated. In a controversial moment during an interview with The Breakfast Club, Chalk made a comment that sparked outrage. So, you felt like this passing was karma for what he did, y'all? That's what I was getting to, basically. The backlash was immediate and intense, with fans and peers criticizing his choice of words. Chalk later attempted to clarify his statement in an interview with Hip Hop Weekly, claiming his words were taken out of context. He explained that the hosts of The Breakfast Club had pushed him into making a statement he hadn't intended to express. Chalk went on to share that Heavy's passing deeply affected him, and he hoped that the unresolved issues between them didn't weigh on Heavy in his final moments. Adding to the tension, Soul For Real revealed they weren't invited to Heavy D's funeral. For Brian, attending wasn't even an option since he was still serving his prison sentence. The brothers felt even more distance from their Uptown Records era after Heavy's passing. They shared that despite their efforts, they couldn't reconnect with anyone from their past. One telling moment came when they ran into Andre Harrell at a club, only for him to allegedly avoid them entirely by leaving the scene. As the R&B landscape shifted, with groups like theirs receiving less industry support, Brian convinced Jace to try his hand at a solo career. Chalk also attempted to go solo, but neither effort gained traction. Ultimately, the brothers reunited and resumed performing as a group, joining nostalgic R&B tours alongside acts like Changing Faces, Genuine, and Case. By 2019, however, they admitted that their show bookings had started to slow down. Despite the challenges, the brothers remained committed to their craft, determined to keep their legacy alive in the hearts of their fans. After navigating the ups and downs of the music industry, the brothers of Soul For Real found new ways to give back to their community. They opened a restaurant in Atlanta called Naomi's Caribbean Cuisine, named in honor of their grandmother. Beyond serving authentic Caribbean dishes, Brian made it a point to employ convicted felons, offering them a chance to reintegrate into society and contribute positively. Unfortunately, as of today, the restaurant appears to have closed its doors. However, the brothers remain dedicated to sharing their love of Caribbean cuisine through their catering company. On the music front, they've released new tracks like Sun Comes Up, Love on Me, and After the Rain, showing that their passion for creating timeless R&B hasn't faded. Tragically, their hopes of reconnecting with former Uptown Records mentor Andre Harrell came to an end in 2020, when Andre passed away at the age of 59 from heart failure. In 2021, Soul For Real made a splash when they appeared on DJ Cassidy's Pass the Mic BET After Party, reigniting interest among fans who who wondered if a full-blown comeback was in the works. While the group hasn't officially announced plans for a return to the spotlight, they're focused on building a legacy for the next generation. Their children, carrying the same musical torch, are already showcasing their own talents. And with Brian now, a father of 8 children by at least 5 women, there's no shortage of talent in the family. Despite the obstacles they faced, bad business deals, strained relationships, and industry challenges, Soul for Real's impact on R&B is undeniable. Their hits, Candy Rain and Every Little Thing I Do, remain classics that transport listeners back to the golden era of 90s music. We want to take a moment to thank Soul for Real for their contributions to the soundtrack of our lives. Their journey may have been filled with setbacks, but their music continues to resonate. What do you think about how the industry treated Soul for Real? Are you shocked by their story? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories on the artists who defined the golden era of R&B.